The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. And a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
We stand with you!
Wah. 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 Welcome, my friends, to the I Can't Believe It's Friday again already edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Fastest hour in American media. That, of course, New York's Attorney General, Letitia James, herself, in the docket today as a defendant on charges that she falsified documents pertaining to her mortgages. The New York Times, of course, has a view of that. Letitia James' case shows ruthlessness of Justice Department in Trump's grip. Oh, yeah, right. The New York Times says the indictment of New York's Attorney General Letitia James is merely one part of a multi-pronged campaign that is helping to define retribution. And President Trump's second term, they complain that in recent days, Trump-aligned media outlets have run scathing headlines about her relatives' criminal records. They never say, of course, that it's untrue. Anything, which is a really interesting sentence for the New York Times. In recent days, Trump-aligned media outlets have run scathing headlines about her relatives' criminal records, amplifying the specter of wrongdoing created by the Justice Department. On Friday, Ms. James, who has said the charges have no merit, will appear in a Virginia court. She did already, came out whining. This idea, let's just take that one paragraph apart for a minute. Right-wing, supposedly, or Trump-aligned as they call it, media outlets ran scathing headlines about her relatives' criminal records. What are the facts? The facts are that Letitia James has family members, some of whom were living in these properties, that had criminal records, and all other outlets did was report it. Who ignored it? Outlets like the New York Times, supposedly where you get all the news, it's fit to print. That used to be their old slogan. But that's news. They ignored it. And yet they're complaining. And they're saying here that this is all about Mr. Trump's crusade against those who believed wronged him may once have been interpreted as a tit-for-tat effort to go after his enemies, but it's becoming clear that creating the trappings of criminality, the headlines, the scrutiny, the reputational damage, is as much a part of the formula as any realistic chance of conviction. And they're complaining that this shows the power and utility of a Justice Department in the grip of a vengeful president. Well, let's just deal with that for a minute. The New York Times may have forgotten because their journalists don't seem to be, whoever writes this stuff doesn't seem to have a political memory beyond a few seconds. Letitia James went after Donald Trump's businesses. She went after his family members. She dragged all of them into court. She tried to wrap the entire Trump name, the entire Trump enterprise in criminality. And there were no complaints from the New York Times, their writers, their reporters, their so-called journalists, when she did that. Now, with Letitia James, some of her members have criminal records and have been engaged in criminality. Even they're not denying it. There are criminal records there, but yet they complain that somehow this is a multi-pronged campaign because it is being reported that not only has Letitia James potentially committed criminal behavior, but members of her family have. And they're outraged. This makes zero sense. Now, something else happened at that trial today. Then we're going to move off Letitia because we got other stuff to cover here. Ooh, move off Letitia. That would imply that we've moved on Letitia, and I don't want to make that ill. That's not. Anyway, Lisa Rubin on PMS NBC had this report after today's proceeding that would be cut 3.
The most important thing that I heard from Fallon Gallagher, based on her being inside the courtroom, is that this judge, Jamal Walker, has decided that he is going to grant a request by James's attorneys to have her motion, essentially to disqualify Lindsay Halligan on the grounds that she was not lawfully appointed, consolidated with that of Jim Comey, who also brought a similar motion. And what is particularly striking is that the judges in each of their cases are not going to hear those motions. They're going to be referred to a federal appeals court, and specifically to the chief judge of the Fourth Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals, for assignment to someone outside the Eastern District of Virginia. And that's because the Eastern District of Virginia judges not only see people from the U.S. Attorney's Office day in and day out in the criminal and civil dockets that they handle, but also because the statutes at play have a role for the district judges to play. When there is a vacancy and someone fills it for 120 days.
Let me just break all this gobbledygook down. The judge in the case is allowing a motion to go forward. She's going to join two motions together. James Comey's trying to say, oh, this prosecutor wasn't the one legally supposed to do it. Letitia James trying to say the same thing. So this judge today is going to allow both Comey and Letitia to argue the same thing, the same argument, that the prosecutor shouldn't have brought this indictment. This prosecutor wasn't authorized to be the legal prosecutor, and they're going to send it over to another federal court. That's what the skinny of all that is. All right, moving on from Letitia. The race in New York continues to draw attention. Hakeem Jeffries was on CNBC, the Squawk Box, and he was ducking and dodging, cut 6, questions on whether he would endorse Mamdani. That was earlier.
What else has passed after November 1st? The election for mayor in New York. Come on. Are you ready? Are you ready to endorse Mamdani yet, Leader Jeffries?
As I've repeatedly said, Joe, I'll have more to say about the mayor's race when I have more to say about the mayor's race.
Today is the day for more. This is part of the future you were talking about last time you were on. This could be the future that you were talking about when you could do it. No.
Well, let me say that, listen, I'm going to continue to lean into the principle as Democrats that we believe in a strong floor and no...
Enough. Okay, so after all that, him dodging the question, late this afternoon, Hakeem Jeffries let it be known, he's this little tepid last-minute endorsement. Oh, yeah, I'm for Mamdani. Why are you taking all this time? I'm for Mamdani. Because what? Oh, okay. Because meanwhile, the current mayor, people might forget that New York already has a mayor. Yeah, I mean, the guy's almost forgotten.
He was in Albania for 2 weeks.
He's been in Albania for 2 weeks. Did he ever announce what that lucrative job is that he's got lined up? Yeah, he said he's got some kind of big job lined up, opportunity of a lifetime and all that. But anyway, Eric Adams out endorsing too. Out endorsing the guy that he called a snake and a liar. We've covered that. But he explained today, cut 7, why he's endorsing the snake and liar, as he called him, Andrew Cuomo.
We're not going backwards, folks. And so this was a grueling time. And yes, am I angry that I'm not the one taking down John, the socialist and the communist? You're darn right I am. But you know what? The city means more to me than anything. And it is time for us as a family to come together. New York can't be Europe, folks. I don't know what is wrong with people. You see what's playing out in other countries because of Islamic extremism. Not Muslims. Let's not mix this up. But those Islamic extremisms that are burning churches in Nigeria, that are destroying communities in Germany, that have taken over the logical thinkings. And that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the family of New York. That's why I'm here today, to endorse Andrew Cuomo, to be part of this fight. And I'm going to give it my all these next few days to make sure that black and brown communities specifically, who have believed there's nothing at stake in this election for them, it is.
Let me see if I understand this. Eric Adams is saying that he does not want Mamdani, the socialist communist, as he put it, to be mayor because don't you people see what's going on in Europe? And we can't be Europe. We can't have radical Islam taking over New York, is what he's saying here. Well, let's see how that plays in the mainstream press. Talk of radical Islam behavior is coming up also on CNN. Scott Jennings was on the Abbey panel. Folks, this next will speak for itself. That would be cut 8, Carlos. Scott Jennings on with the Abbey people on CNN.
It is true that Mamdani was taking a picture with an unindicted co-conspirator from the World Trade Center bombing the other day and called him a pillar of the community. Cuomo didn't make him take that picture. Mamdani took that picture and seems to be pretty proud of it. That's a legitimate thing to debate, but I think in this case of the radio show, the core issue was Mamdani literally has no experience. And if you had a 9/11 scale event, would you want somebody who can't prove that they can do anything in the chair? Legit.
Is it fair to say that he would cheer on 9/11?
He's taking pictures with unindicted co-conspirators from the World Trade Center bombing.
Are you willing to say that? You really think that he would cheer on 9/11?
He's taking pictures with unindicted co-conspirators from the World Trade Center bombing.
I'm just saying, hey, look, I'm just right.
It wasn't Cuomo, it was the radio.
But I'm asking Scott, because Scott seems to think that's like a totally above-board line of attack. Do you think that that's true?
I can only tell you what I see on my phone. I see a picture of Mamdani with a guy who was an unindicted co-conspirator from a terrorist attack in New York City.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think that was a good picture
listen,
to take?
He is an unindicted co-conspirator in that case, but it's just worth noting for context. In 2009, Bloomberg met with that same imam. The last mayor, who just endorsed Eric Adams, awarded him apparently an award fairly recently. So, I mean, your criticism is taken, but I also think that's a different point from saying somebody would cheer on a terror attack that killed thousands of people.
So wait a minute. So according to Abby, wait a minute. Yes, he's taking pictures with a guy that was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And he's supported, proud. And Abby's point is, but Scott, Mayor Bloomberg was friendly with the guy, Mayor Bloomberg, and the guy's gotten an award. So, I mean, I guess, never mind all that business about him being chummy with an unindicted co-conspirator of the attack of the World Trade Center. Scott. What does that matter? Scott. Bloomberg chummed up with him too. And besides, the imam, he's gotten an award. So why are you complaining, Scott? Politics. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media continues. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
You know, Carlos is just all over me. He's just like, yeah, you have about a minute. He kept giving me the breaks and I kept running my mouth. And so now he's just like digging the knife in. You did this. And then people are triggering me. I get a quote. I get a post. The only thing I see on my screen is New York Young Republicans Club. And it's a poll about the New York Mills. My first reaction is, why do I want to hear anything from the New York Young Republicans Club? The people that call black people like me monkeys, some of those people, and other obscene names. The anti-Semitism that came out of there, the racism. Why do I want to hear anything from that bunch? I thought they were disbanded anyway. And then I read, it's that they're citing a poll that shows that if Cuomo drops out, there's a chance for, nobody's dropping out. Who cares what these stupid polls say about things that are not real? They're not dropping out. It is what it is. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Takeaway, child support, food stamps, Section 8, and Medicaid. I bet some women will be more cautious of who they sleep with.
What? Play that cut that you just played, Carlos. I want to explore that for a second.
Takeaway, child support, food stamps, Section 8, and Medicaid. I bet some women will be more cautious of who they sleep with.
Now that's interesting. I guess she's responding to all of these things that we've been deluged with on social media from women, a lot of them women of a certain culture that have been complaining, threatening that they're going to go in and rob every single store they can if they don't get their food stamps. And they mentioned some of them, I got 5 babies. Another one, I got 7 babies. Another one, I got babies and I got blah, blah, 5 children, 7 children. And if I don't get my food stamps, I'm going to go in there and steal everything I can. And I bet that's what she's responding to. Play that one more time.
Takeaway, child support, food stamps, Section 8, and Medicaid. I bet some women will be more cautious of who they sleep with.
Oh. Now this woman says if the government, if you were the government programs that enable behavior, Section 8, which is we're going to subsidize your living arrangements. We'll pay for your apartment. We'll pay for your house. You and your 7, 5, whatever number of babies, the government's paying for that stuff. Subsidized, heavily subsidized housing. She's saying if you take that away, if you take away the EBT cards. And some of these people are collecting thousands of dollars a month, thousands, in food stamp benefits. If you take that away, if you take away the subsidized housing, she says you take away support. I don't know what support she's trying, whether it's just the welfare checks or not, but I'm assuming that's what it is, because most of the time, baby daddy can't be tracked down for support. If you take away that, if you take away Medicaid, then she says equals. The equal part of that equation would be that a lot of women would be a lot more cautious about who they bed down with, presumably, and they wouldn't have, perhaps she's saying, perhaps, unless I'm hearing it wrong, perhaps she's saying they wouldn't have so many children that require government assistance. But isn't that, do you think, Carlos, let me just ask you a question. Do you think that this woman's being cruel with her analysis? Do you think that that's a cruel thing for her to say?
No, because kids cost a lot.
Let's see. Okay, then. Cruel. Have y'all heard that Jasmine, Jasmine Crockett is, it looks like with the Texas redistricting, she's going to have to run in another district should she choose to run. And therefore, her chances of re-election are not so great. So, Jasmine Crockett yesterday floated the idea that Jasmine Crockett, would run for the United States Senate seat that will be open in the 2026 elections. Right now, there are two Republicans running for the primary. That would be the incumbent, John Cornyn, Rhino, and the Rhino most of the time, and Ken Paxton, who's the state attorney general, who himself has quite a few political enemies, fair to say. But Jasmine, right now, is contemplating throwing her hair in the, usually they say throwing your hat, but in Jasmine's case, let's just call it what it is. She's contemplating throwing her hair in the ring. Now, former Washington Post, former CNN analyst Chris Cillizza has some words, some analysis of the prospect that our good media friend, we don't know her personally, but she's a friend of the program because we like playing her sound bites, Jasmine Crockett might run for the U.S. Senate seat.
The problem is it's very difficult for me to see how Crockett would reach out to the middle, particularly in a state like Texas, where there just are not enough Democrats. Even if you get all the Democrats to vote for you, you don't win. So I think this would be a dream scenario for Republicans, because I think Ken Paxton has a real chance at winning the primary against John Cornyn and Wesley Hunt. And if he does, the best chance Republicans have of keeping that seat is Jasmine Crockett as the Democratic nominee, right? To me, there's no question that either Colin Allred or James Tallarico, or honestly, maybe even Beto O'Rourke, would be a stronger general election candidate against Paxton or Cornyn or Hunt than Jasmine Crockett. My guess here is she's sort of using her leverage and her notoriety to kind of gin up this talk, maybe raise some money. I don't think she'll ultimately do it, because I think she'll look at the numbers and realize she probably can't win, and that she's probably better off running in a Democratic primary, even if it's against another Democratic House incumbent in those redrawn districts around Dallas. But the possibility will make Democrats nationally nervous. I do not think that is the right nominee. And what's worse for national Democrats, I think it's very hard to stop Jasmine Crockett to winning the Democratic nomination if she does run for the Senate.
In that case, I say, oh, yes, she is. Not only is she going to throw her hair in the ring, but she's going to throw her eyelashes in the ring, too. So I hope she does. I hope Jasmine Crockett throws her hair and her eyelashes in the ring and decides that she wants to damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead. Damn those Republicans, full steam ahead, that redistricted me out of being a lowly congresswoman. I want to be the senator. I hope Jasmine Crockett runs. Everybody should encourage Jasmine Crockett to reach for the stars, reach for high things. But Bernie Sanders, by the way, has said, he's come out and said that AOC would be a great presidential candidate for the Democrats. I support that too. Can you imagine a 2026 election with Jasmine Crockett running for Senate, with AOC, maybe she should run for Senate too as a precursor. She only has to stay there 2 years, pull an Obama, and then run. So she needs, thank you, Mr. Mike. And so yes, we ought to encourage all of this. Now, we rarely play basketball figures. In fact, this may be the first, because most of us didn't know. Oh, this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it anyway. Most of us didn't know that most basketball players in the NBA could speak in whole paragraphs that are intelligible. However, even though he's not playing anymore, Shaq is intelligible. And Shaq always has. Yeah, he's always been able. You've always been able to understand Shaquille O'Neal. In fact, Shaquille O'Neal did he did a rap thing with Quincy Jones back in the day. Just part of a group. They did Stomp over again, and Shaq was part of that whole thing on Quincy's version of Stomp. Anyway, Shaq has weighed in, ladies and gentlemen, on the scandal involving the NBA and organized crime figures. And this is what Shaquille O'Neal opines.
We all know the letter of the law when it comes to gambling and sports gambling, and I don't want to sit up here like I'm some perfect guy. Like every now and then when I go to Vegas, I'll play some craps and I'll play some roulette, but never gambled at anybody's house. Don't know anything about poker, so I don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the Chauncey thing. But I know Chauncey. I know Damon very well. Played with Damon, so I don't want to sit up here. But I'm ashamed that those guys would put their families and their careers in jeopardy. There's an old saying in the hood: all money ain't good money. So if you're making $9 million and you're dealing in certain things, like how much more do you need? Especially if you know you get caught, you can do jail time, lose your career, put a bad image on yourself or your family or on the NBA. I agree with you, Chuck. They dropped the ball.
100%.
They had
100% dropped the ball.
And you never want to have your name involved in that when you know the letter of the law. And Ernie, again, I know for a fact every year they cancel practice and say don't do this and don't do that and don't do that. So all the guys had the information. So.
Okay. Folks, we have news, illegal immigration moving on, and also we'll have more on the basketball scandal. We covered it. We had New York Commissioner Jess Tisch remarking on it too. But I want to move on to some other things. I'm looking at the clock. I don't want Carlos to chastise me again for poor clock management. So we got Joy Reid whining about the ballroom. Does that sound enough interesting enough? Should we just bypass Joy? No. Carlos says no Joy Reid. Okay, we got Joe Manchin talking about how the Democrats, Joe Biden and his Democrats, organized a retribution campaign against him. I'm going to make an executive decision and hold that till tomorrow because it's over 2 minutes, and I want people to hear every single word of that. I'll tell you what, we have one. Pete Hegseth. You know, the United States has sent one of our finest naval crafts into the Atlantic, headed down there toward Venezuela in the Caribbean to interdict more of these narco drug terrorists. And by the way, they blottoed one out in the Pacific. And now there was another strike, I think either today or yesterday, in the Caribbean. He was Pete Hegseth. He was with the president. They were all sitting at a big summit. And Pete Hegseth talked about what is going on with this war against the drug eco-terrorists. And here's what he had to say.
Generally, you don't see fishing in submarines either, sir. So the U.S. military, as I mentioned, nobody better in the world at mapping networks, identifying who's connected to who inside terrorist organizations. It's just the media is used to hearing that when it pertains to Afghanistan and Iraq and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But if you reframe how you understand the world in our own hemisphere, that's exactly what these foreign terrorist organizations are. And so we will track them, we will map them, we will network them, and we will hunt them and kill them because they're trying to and they are killing and poisoning the American people. And inside that, we have all the license necessary, all the authorities necessary to take these kinetic strikes, and we'll continue to take them.
That answers some questions coming from senators such as Rand Paul, Tim Kaine, and Adam Schiff about the legal authority that is underpinning these strikes. Well, it didn't answer it. They're saying they have it. I expect that battle to continue. And also, every time one of these strikes happens, the mainstream press goes bananas, taking the side. In fact, there's a story today, either New York Times or Washington Post, about dead bodies washing up in Trinidad, Tobago. And they're wondering if they're from the strikes, and it's all, oh, yeah. The leftists do not like these strikes. You know, one of the things Politico did, and then we got to go to a break real quick. You may know that some anonymous donor has put up $130 million to help the military get paid, despite the fact that Democrats voted against paying members of our military and other essential personnel. So Politico did a story on it. DOD accepts anonymous $130 million donation to partially cover troop pay. And then they have a sub-headline. White House and military officials will not say who the donor is or whether the gift has been properly vetted. So here they are, making some, I guess, veiled implication that somehow or another, $130 million donation to help keep America's military men and women paid could somehow be improper. And they don't know whether it's been vetted. You know what should have been the subheadline? There should have been a 2-word sub-headline. Thank you. Or they could have even expanded it. Thank you, whoever you are. Which would have been a much more proper sub-headline.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
John Bettis was born today. American lyricist, part of the band Spectrum, which also had members of the group, Richard and Karen Carpenter, wrote the lyrics for Top of the World and so many other hits, but he also wrote this one, co-wrote the lyrics. Happy birthday. He's just an amazing, amazing figure in the music industry, John Bettis. I first heard this, George Musgrave III had a house party, and I heard this, and I still remember it. We got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Live in gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, back early in the morning at 7 a.m. and hope you're here too. Until the meantime, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.